Joining us now is Oliver Libby. He is a managing partner at HL Ventures. Oliver, these are concerning comments. Why do you think federal job cuts could jeopardize American ingenuity?
Well, look, I'm a long-term optimist. I think optimism has been the theme of the day. I want to stay with that, but I think it's imperative. You know, the innovation economy is one of America's crown jewels, if not one of the most important parts of the economy. And it's the font of a cross-sector partnership that's historic, right? There's always been this enormous collaboration between the government, universities, innovation funding, VCs. And I think it's really important for us to keep that flywheel going. You mentioned the CoreWeave IPO too. We need two things to be true. We need the pipeline of innovation to be strong, and we need to be able to sell startups. And both of those things are more concerning than they are usual. And I think it's time to sound the alarm bell about one of the most important segments of our economy.
We don't know the full effect of the cuts yet. We hear a lot of scary headlines, cutting this, cutting that. I have a friend of mine who's a professor at a big research university, and there were some cuts, and I said, "Are you okay?" He said, "I'm okay because I'm in a different department." So we don't know what's going to happen. What would be, I guess, Oliver, your best and your worst case scenarios for once kind of the dust settles?
Yeah, look, I think that the best case scenario is everyone loves more government efficiency. I'm a big friend to that, and I think it's really important for us to spend money in the right places. But it's important to note what venture capital, which is what I do for a living, does and what it doesn't do. We help commercialize companies. We do make bets early on, and we try and bring those companies through this ladder of series of funding and get them eventually to an exit, which again is the really important thing we need going right now. But we don't do fundamental research. We don't fund that. That's always been a partnership with universities, with the government, the Department of Defense, and other really important entities, and we need that to keep going. So look, in the best case scenario, that continues, and some of these freezes unfreeze, and we get that flywheel going. But again, this is a big partnership. It's not something government can do alone, but it's certainly not something venture capital can do alone either, and entrepreneurs need all of that to be working to build quality products and businesses.
On a more granular level, Oliver, do you have an opinion about the CoreWeave IPO tomorrow?
Well, look, first of all, I'm certainly I'm an early stage VC investor, so I won't try and guess as to the quality of an IPO. But what I'll tell you about this is ultimately the entire innovation ecosystem is about building companies so that people will buy them, right? The partnership between venture capitalists and entrepreneurs is ultimately about building companies that someone will buy. It might be an IPO, and that would be great. It might be a financial buyer like private equity. It might be a strategic buyer like a chip company being sold to Intel. Well, one way or the other, what we're doing here is building companies that eventually someone buys, and that's how we recycle capital into the system and invest it again in these early stage companies. And that pipeline, you know, as Brian mentioned, has been broken of late. And so I'm delighted to see a few exits. But one of the things I've noted is there's a lot of concentration, right? That CoreWeave IPO is huge. The Wiz exit is huge. But if you look beyond a couple of big things, there's really not a lot of activity. We're at a 20-year low in M&A. And so what we really need to have happen is that those sorts of IPOs, whatever happens, you know, with that, galvanizes the reopening of that flywheel. If we can sell companies, then the innovation economy is strong.